Hey guys, welcome back. In the last lecture, we worked on displaying some stats on admin dashboard and we also worked on loading data from associated models using includes and references query methods. In this lecture, we will allow admin users to process refund for customer. So to do that, first we need to create a refunds controller into the admin dashboard. So to create that controller, we need to switch into the app controllers admin directory, and there we will create a new file and name it as refunds controller. So to create the controller, first switch to the project directory. Okay, and into the project directory, you can see that we already have an admin namespace, and into that we have a one controller, that is dashboards controller. Now here you need to create a refunds controller. Okay, so create a new file and save it as refunds controller.rb. Okay, now let's implement this controller. So to implement this, how we can do that? So class admin and then refunds controller, and then inherit it via admin controller. Okay, and after defining this controller class, what we need to do as the next thing, that first we need to define a callback into this controller to set refund instance for all member action of this refunds controller. Okay, so how you can do that? Before action and then set refunds. Okay, set refund only. And now you need to define this into the as a private method. So def set refund. Okay, and here you need to make a refund query. Okay, so how you can make it? Like at the rate refund equal to refund dot find and then params id. Save it. And after defining this callback, you need to define a member action and name that as process refund, the refund resource into the routes.rb. Okay. Make sure that this route must be a patch route because we will update some information into refund. Okay. So we cannot choose get or post request here because get is used to retrieve the information only and post is used to create a new instance on the server, but patch is used to update existing resource on the server, and hence we are updating the refund entity here. So we will define our member route as the patch request here. Okay, so before defining that member route, let's define the member action here. So you can do def process refund, and now open the routes.rb and we need to define this process refund method as a member action. Okay, so go to the config routes.rb. Okay, and here you can see that we have defined refunds resource into the admin namespace already. So what we need to do here, we can define our member action here. Okay, so let's do member do and then end this block, and here you need to define patch and then process refund and save this. Now let's add the path for this member out into the admin dashboard page. Okay, so just provide the path for process refund action. So for to do that, what you need to do, that open the index.html.trb of admin dashboard controller, and here you can see that we define a link, dummy link here, that process refund, and now we need to replace this JavaScript void zero text, and here we need to provide the path for this member action. Okay, and how we can do that? So process refund and then admin refund path. Okay, and since this is a member action, so we need to provide the instance of refund as a argument. Okay, so refund, and now what we need to do as the next thing, that since this is a fetch request, so accept get request, we need to mention the method of every request with the link itself. Okay, so what we need to do, method and then fetch. Okay, because if you do not provide this fetch method, then it will Rails will consider this link as a get request. Okay, and here I added this path because I know that what will be the path name for this member action. But if you don't know this path value, you can simply grab the routes for this action by running the Rails routes grab process refund command on the terminal. Okay, so to know the exact path for a route, what you can do, So go to the terminal, and into the terminal switch to a new tab, and here you can run rails routes, and then grep, let's say process refund, because this is the method that this is the member route that we defined into the routes. Okay, so here you can see the path name, process refund, admin refund, okay, and path. And here you can see that it accepts an argument id, which is the instance we provided into the link here. Okay, now we need to make sure one thing, that this link will not submitted as the turbo stream. Okay, because turbo stream required the on page rendering, and we are going to avoid this for this course. Okay, and we will later do when we look at the turbo stream section. Okay, and we look at the hotwire turbo. So go to the app javascript application.js. Okay, so you can switch into app javascript application.js, and what you need to do, that you need to comment out this line. Okay, hotwire turbo rails, and once you comment this line, this will submit your request as html. Okay, and it will prevent the submitting request as turbo string. Okay, and now so far we set up the basic controller and member action to process the refund. Now let's look at the refund data that we need to update after processing the refund for customer. So let's go to the rails console and run refund.last. Okay, so let's run rails console here. Okay, because we need to make sure that what attributes we're going to update in this process refund. Okay, so here you can run, let's say refund.last. Okay, and here you can see that what the data I already have, that I have id of the refund, I have customer id, booking id, and number of ticket entries. Okay, and I have stepped as accepted. Now, I do not have Stripe refund ID, is partial refund, amount refunded is nil. Okay, and these are the attributes that we need to update. Okay, we will update the state from accepted to processed or to success, and the Stripe refund ID will be the ID of the refund that we will create on the Stripe for this refund request, and is partial refund will make sure that whether the customer has asked for the full refund or he has asked for the partial refund. Okay, and the amount refunded will be the money that we're going to refund to the customer. Okay, so we need to update these attributes in this process refund action. So now let's think about the amount to be refunded first. Okay, since we added an instance method into the refund model in last lecture, so we can get the amount to be refunded using that method. Okay, so let's switch to the refunds controller, and here we need to define amount refunded. Okay, since we already have the refund instance into using the set refund method, so what we can define here, at the rate refund dot amount refunded equal to at the rate refund dot amount to be refunded. And here I wanted to let you know the advantages of such instance method. Now we do not need to calculate the refundable amount every time when we need this. And just like this case, you can define any number of instance methods in your model classes and then reduce your time to write the same logic or calculation at multiple places. Now, as the next thing, what we need is the Stripe transaction ID for which we want to process the refund ID. And this is basically the charge ID of a Stripe transaction, and we store this into the booking model. Since a refund belongs to a booking, so we can get the Stripe charge ID using booking of the refund. Okay, so how we can get this? So Stripe charge ID equal to at the rate stripe at the rate refund dot booking dot stripe transaction id. This will give us the transaction id of the booking which we created on the stripe. And the next thing that we need to find is whether the refund to be processed is full refund or partial refund. Okay, for example, if customer has booked 10 tickets and he want to refund for 5 tickets, then this should be a partial refund, and if he wants to refund for the 10 tickets, then it should be a full refund. Okay, so we can simply get this by comparing the refundable amount with amount paid during the booking. Okay, if both refund amount and amount paid for the booking are equal, then it's a full refund, and if the refundable amount is less than the amount paid for booking, then it's a partial refund. And we already had a validation, like if refundable amount is higher than the amount paid for the booking, then our refund will not be created. Okay, because we already added validation for that. Now we will calculate this into the process refund action. So what we can do here, so let's check if at the rate refund dot amount refunded, if at the rate refund dot amount refunded is equal to at the rate refund dot booking dot amount paid, amount paid. If this condition true, then what we need to set that at the rate refund dot is partial refund as false. Okay. Now else, if at the rate refund dot amount is less than refund dot booking dot amount paid, refund dot booking dot amount paid, then we need to set this as true. Let's make this true here. Okay, and save this. Now, what we need to do next thing, because we will create our Stripe refunds using the Stripe service classes that we defined in few lectures back. So what we can do here, that we need to instantiate the Stripe service class first. Okay, so how we can do that? Stripe service, let's say Stripe underscore service equal to Stripe service dot new. Okay, and then we need to process the refund on Stripe, or we need to call the create Stripe refund method that we implemented into the Stripe service class. So before calling that method here, let's go to the app services directory. Okay, and into the service directory, let's open the Stripe service.rv, and here you can see that we already created this create Stripe refund method here. Okay, so now what we need to do, that we need to call here, and here you can see that we are passing the Stripe charge ID to this method as an argument. Okay, so we need to do the same thing here. So what we can do, let's say is stripe refund equal to stripe service dot, and then call this method with this argument. Okay, so it's create stripe refund and then stripe charge id. So you can see we have invoke this method here for stripe refund. Okay, now what we need to do, if our refund is processed successfully on the stripe, so we need to update the state of refund as well. So at the rate refund equal refund dot state equal to success. And now what we need to do, at the rate refund dot save. Okay, and it will update all the information into the refund. Okay, and now after completing this operation, what we need to do, that we need to redirect the admin users on the admin dashboard path. So what we can write here, like let's say redirect to admin dashboard path. Okay, and then we need to provide some notice here, notice, and then refund processed successfully, refund processed successfully. Else, suppose if the Stripe API raise some error while creating the refund, so what we need to do, we can add some rescue class here, rescue block here, sorry. Okay, and here what we need to call, like Stripe and then Stripe error. Okay, and then we need to provide the error message here. Okay, and we can do the same thing here, like redirect to admin dashboard path, and then we need to set some alert here, so we can do alert and then error dot message. Okay, and save this. Now since we implemented this process refund method, so after implementing this method, what we need to do, that we need to click on the process refund button on the admin dashboard. Okay, so switch to the browser. Okay, and refresh your page here. Okay, and once you refresh this page, let's first check that whether we get this link or not. So let's click on the process refund button here and go to the inspect element, and here you can see the path of the link that we created. Okay, so here you can see admin refunds 6 and then process refund. Okay, and now let's switch to the terminal where the rail server is running. Okay, so let's go to the terminal and make some space here, and now click on the process refund, any process refund button on the admin dashboard. Okay, so we can click here, let's say process refund. Okay, and once we click that, you can see refund processed successfully, and at the terminal you can see that what happened, a update query has been performed, and you can see that state has been changed to success. Okay, his partial refund is 1, so it is true, and the amount refunded is 6,000. Okay, now if you refresh the admin page, okay, so let's refresh this page, and you can see we initially have 3 refund requests to be processed here, and now we have only 2, so one request has been already processed. But we made a mistake here. What mistake? Because we forget to update one entry here. So let me show you on the console, that you can see that we did not updated this stripe refund id on the process into the process refund action. Okay, so we need to do that here, and here if you can see at the update query, that it is only updating 3 attributes, that is state success, is partial refund 1, and amount refunded 6,000. Okay, so now we need to update our process refund action as well. So what we can do here, go to the refunds controller. Okay, and here what we need to do, that at the rate refund dot stripe refund id equal to stripe refund dot id. Okay, stripe refund dot id. Okay, so this will be the id of the refund that we created on the stripe. Okay, now let's refresh the page again. Okay, and make some space to the rails terminal where the rail server is running. Okay, and now submit the process refund request. Okay, and you can see that refund processed successfully, and here if you can see in the update action, so you can see that state has been changed to success, stripe refund id has been updated. Okay, and this is the id of the refund that we created on the stripe, and it's partial refund true. Okay, because the customer requested only partial amount of tickets here. Okay, and now amount refunded is 3,500. Okay, so you can see that we are now successfully creating refund on the Stripe, and we are sending this money back to the customer's account. Okay, and that's all from this lecture. However, this lecture is still not completed. Okay, because we need to do some little things like processing, like after processing the refund, just like we send the notification to the customer after accepting his refund request, we also need to send an email to the customer that an action has been taken against his refund request, and the refund has been processed and amount refunded successfully, just to make sure our app provide good user experience. Okay, so please go through the entire lecture, and we will meet into the next lecture where we will implement mailer for the customers to send email about successful refund. Okay, and we also need to handle some other Stripe events as well. Like suppose if this refund is partial, okay, then we need to send the same refund request, sorry, then we need to send the same information on the stripe as well, because stripe also allow us the facility to create the partial refund on the stripe. Okay, so in the next lecture we will also implement the partial refund on the stripe, so we can create the refund request against on the same booking, okay, on this tribe. Okay, so for example, for now you cannot process the refund for further tickets for that customer, even he has this is the partial refund. Okay, so we need to do that in the next lecture. Okay, so please go through this. Okay, so thanks for watching this, and let's meet into the next lecture. Till then, tata, goodbye, take care, and stay safe.